Can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel in partnership with sharpbetting.co.uk, your home for betting tips and analysis. Please click the link in the description to find out more. You will find something that's could be helpful for you if you're thinking of placing a bet, you want to get some analysis to back your betting tip up, or other great things like that. Thomas, good to be joined by you as always. Big video, big fight, Jaron Ennis. Eimantas Stanionis unification fight at 147 in Atlantic City. Yeah, one of the biggest fights we'll see take place in the US this year. We'll get right into it as always. Who is going to win this fight for you and how?
I'm picking Ennis by decision. Um, but I do think it will be a tough one for him. I'm saying like a 8-4, 7 rounds to 5 type kind of fight. Um, I do favor Ennis just based off of his skills and physical ability. Um, However, Stanionis, I think is going to be a really tough challenge for him because of the pressure that he applies to all of his opponents. It throws a lot of punches, um, backs you up against the ropes, and I'm curious to see how Ennis would deal with something like that.
Mm.
And also, Ennis hasn't really looked good in his last couple fights, so I'm not sure if maybe the weight cut of getting to 147 has a little bit something to do with that, or I think it's more likely because he just hasn't been, you know, getting involved in these big fights like this one here. So perhaps we'll see a better version of
Yeah,
Ennis against Stanionis, but I definitely see it being a tough fight for him for sure. Stanionis is a tough guy, stocky build, uh, tank, tank of a guy. So
yeah,
um, it would be hard for me to imagine Ennis getting him out of there. And but I do favor him to win.
yeah. Look, it's exciting. I think this is the sort of fight we've wanted to see Jaron Ennis in for a while now. He's 33-0, bit of a padded record, if you don't mind me saying, Thomas. Against Stanionis, who's actually only had 15 fights, and is just is look is not it just is unfortunately really isn't a big name. Obviously, he comes from Lithuania, where you're kind of unlikely to have big fights taking place there. So he's obviously been fighting in America, but yeah, looking really kind of really looking forward to this. Stanionis is the underdog here, which we'll go into in a little bit, but I actually think Stanionis is going to win this fight, and I think he's going to win this fight via decision. I think Ennis has been talking about moving up to 154 for a long time now. I don't think he looked great in his last fight for whatever reason. Um, and that just concerns me. And I think Stanionis is a series like he's a world champion, so he's not kind of some bum they found off the street. And I just think, yeah, it's look the odds that are available appeal to me as well, but I just genuinely think Stanionis. I think it will go the distance and it will be close, but I think Stanionis will win this fight via a close points decision. So we're disagreeing, and we'll see what happens. But it's interesting. I want to get on to something in a little bit, Thomas, but I want to ask you: does Ennis's time at 147 concern you at all? Do you think he spent too long at that weight?
Well, one thing I think was very telling after his last fight, immediately in um, the post-fight interview, he mentioned like, yeah, I think I got to move up to 154. Like that was like the first thing he said. So I think it was very telling that, perhaps he's has spent too much time at 147. Um, but like I mentioned too, I think it's harder. It's harder to drop down to 147 for if you're just fighting Karen Chukatsian,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so if he's because he did say, I think I'm going to move up to 154 unless one of these guys at 147 stops playing. So, he's down for unifications and big fights at 147.
mm,
So I think maybe that was, maybe that was part of his motivation for saying that is he just wants to move up to 154 for big fights.
yeah,
But I mean, he is big for 147. So yeah, I think perhaps he would fill out at 154 quite well. Um, but yeah, it will be interesting to see uh just how much longer he could stay at 147.
yeah. No, we'll see. Look, I've got to think this is going to be his last fight at 147. I struggle to see how he can just kind of continue at that way, but we'll see. Thomas, our partners Sharp Betting have released some odds that gives an implied probability. That probability gives Jaron Ennis a 79% chance of winning this fight, whereas Stanionis is on 21%. What do you think of those percentages, and where's your head at? Is this like 70-30, 50-50? I know we know, like you've said, you think Ennis is going to win, but how competitive is this?
Yeah, I definitely think those odds are very wide. I think they should be closer, more like a 60-40, to be honest. Do I feel confident that Ennis will win, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if he got upset by Stanionis too, um, just because of what we mentioned a little bit ago. Um, so yeah, I was definitely a bit surprised. I remember, in our big fight breakdown we recorded with myself, Owen, and Danny, we were talking about how those odds were a bit too wide.
Yeah.
So I definitely, yeah, we were definitely shocked by that, and I think they should be a bit closer. But I mean, Stanionis is the most live dogs of live dogs here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would be if you were favoring Stanionis to win, you might want to put money on this one because you can get a big return.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think the bookmakers have seen this a bit wrong, but that's just my opinion. I think this is a very close fight. Final question from me, Tom.